Hello and welcome to another video where I read an article and discuss about it. And here we have another article on how God is acting amid the coronavirus crisis. And the coronavirus crisis is mostly over, and it's just rising cases here and there. It's no more the biggest crisis at the moment. But we will talk about how God was acting amid the coronavirus crisis. With most of the nation under stay-at-home orders, the media are taking an upbeat attitude to the tragic lockdown. Most treat it as a temporary measure that we must endure before getting back to normal. So yes, back in 2020, a stay-at-home order and lockdown, not to leave the house unless we are essential workers or really, really needed to get out and go to the store or to the doctors or somewhere important otherwise. And yes, it did become a temporary solution to the coronavirus crisis. And we did get back to normal, even though it was slow and it hurt a lot of people. Some people were able to bounce back from it, and some weren't, unfortunately. Thus, the internet is full of lists of things we can do while at home. They present lockdown as an opportunity for projects, hobbies, movies, and home cooking that we never had time to do before. People can develop better family relationships and improve their marriages. Yes, it was a time to be stuck pretty much 24/7 with your family, whatever dynamic that may be. And yes, everyone shouldn't be bored because they could read all the books that they were never able to read, catch up on household things that they never got to, and starting all the other projects that they wanted to do, catch up on TV shows, movies, and the list can go on. It's just, you have to be interested in doing those things and keeping yourself busy and not being bored and going stir crazy. All these things might help people cope with the crisis. However, I think this is a shallow approach. It reveals a fear of going deeper into our predicament. No one asks questions about the immense damage to the economy, the duration of the crisis, or the serious possibility that things will not return to normal. Everything was unsure at the time, and the economy was going downward, on a downward spiral. And of course, nobody knew what the new normal would look like or if anything would go back to normal. What are Americans thinking about, or what were Americans thinking about? We need to look deeper into the minds of countless Americans if we are to cope. We need to go beyond the internet lists. Many have lost their jobs and are suffering. At this stage, I cannot say where the crisis will lead, but something profound is happening, and I suspect a lot of people are searching for answers. Yes, a lot of people who weren't essential workers or couldn't do their job from home, of course, struggled because unemployment wasn't always enough. Some people had to figure out what they were going to do. If they were going to be able to move in with friends or family and tighten the budget and still be able to survive until things opened up and became, they could work again. Exploring these currents can encourage us to see that we are not the only citizens thinking beyond the superficial pastimes the media propose. My report will be based on a survey sent out to a group of 150 similarly minded Catholics asking how the crisis has impacted them negatively and positively in what they are thinking about. And this article was written by John Hobart II. I realize the sample is very limited. Any kind of analysis will be anecdotal. However, the results were surprising. It was not about home projects or personal development. The answers were very spiritual. Thus, I will give the 3 positive and negative themes found in the responses that impressed me. 3 positive things. This survey of Catholics took as a given that all would be afflicted by the lack of sacraments at the time when they need them the most. Indeed, most sorely lamented the closing of churches and services. Of course, the churches were closed and you couldn't go get the sacrament of communion. You could watch the Mass on the internet, TV, whatever. You know, the priest would be saying the Mass by himself in the church or chapel with just one other person who would be there to video the whole thing, or they would have like one musician who would be there to play the music, or there would be no music at all. And sometimes even the priest would just set up the camera himself and just film all by himself, saying the Mass for people to watch, whatever the situation was for each church. But they all wanted their parishioners to have a way to listen to them say Mass and still be present in the lives of their parishioners and their community. They didn't want them to suffer without support from the Word of God and their encouragement that God would help make things better for them and for us who believe. The first theme that impressed me was the number of those who said that they are praying much more and more fervently as a result of the crisis. Parents and families are praying more together. They are reading spiritual books and fortifying themselves in the faith. Well, aside from all other things you would be doing at home, of course, part of it is more spiritual reading and prayers and finding time and then you have plenty more time to do all of that aside from other hobbies and such. My faith is stronger in the trial, said one. It has allowed me much more time for prayer and contemplation. This time of social isolation has allowed me to deepen my prayer life, said another. I find that I am spending more time in prayer, up to at least 2 hours a day, as well as thinking about how I can better my life as a child of God. The coronavirus crisis was an awakening for a lot of people spiritually to see what more they could do in their lives to get closer to God and their spirituality. I'm led to pray the rosary several times a day instead of just at night when I go to bed. I have also gone to church each day just to sit in front of the tabernacle. Thank God our church is still open for prayer. Some, like small churches or chapels, they're open for people to go in there and pray. It's just that they limit it one one person per every other pew. You have to wear a mask, stuff like that, or one person at a time allowed in the chapel, and they're given a time limit if there are other people who want to go in and pray as well. But that's what people have to do. They can devote more time to their prayer as well. One person reports seeing with much more clarity the implications of all my sins. Yes, because you have time to contemplate. You see the good that you've done in your life. You can sit and review the bad that you've done in your life and review all of that and better yourself. A second positive theme is increased contact with the family. The lockdown has forced people together in the home. Despite the hardships of unemployment, many family members are grateful for the time they can spend together. Others have reconnected from afar with relatives and friends. It has helped me to be more thoughtful, wrote one respondent. Because with social media and all the online videos you can do from Zoom to Facebook Messenger video, chat, and messaging, you have more time, because everybody's at home, to talk to all your family members, whether they're far or near, that don't live with you, and the ones that live with you, you can make a closer connection with them. The third way the crisis has been positive is that people report that their lives have slowed down. We are enjoying the slower pace and the opportunity to be together more, wrote one mother. Yes, it slowed things down because you can just relax more. You're not running from one activity to the next, like from school to work, then from work to back to school to pick up your kids, then to their next practice or lesson or activity that they have going on, and then coming home and worrying about dinner and what's next and getting ready for the next day. Now you just slow down, you can cook together, have more time in prayer and contemplation together, and to just be. Yet another wrote of the joys of slowing down and learning what is important. People seem to rejoice in being relieved of the burden of speed. And I like taking life slow. I'm not one to like the rush and the rushing hum of things, I like the slow pace and the relax and take time. Like, you make time, you get your work done that you need. You set aside time for all the things that you want in life, and not try to cause yourself anxiety by trying to put too much on your plate and then overburdening yourself and never having time for the other things that make you happy. Three negative things. The most negative impact of the crisis is the anxiety over job loss. People naturally are concerned about their families and livelihood. However, even this concern takes on spiritual dimension. Many see these changes as an opportunity not to take things for granted and to challenge them to have more faith in God. And yes, of course it's uncertain if you lose your job or if you earn less money because midst of the crisis, but then you learn more that you need God in your life to help you overcome all these struggles, and tell yourself that it will be okay. And you learn how to pinch your pennies and make things stretch for longer, and know how to live your life in a better way. A second negative impact is a concern for others who are suffering misfortune, illness, and unemployment. Many are praying for others and looking for ways to help them. They are also missing those social relationships that are now severed at this time. And of course, if you don't live with your girlfriend, or if you don't live with your best friend, or if you don't live with your boyfriend, or if you don't live with other people you normally interact with or see on a regular basis, you're just able to talk to them through video or phone call, and it's hard because you want to be able to see those people. And of course, sometimes these challenges may cause rifts, or may, with the prayer of God, can you keep the strength alive and look to the future when you can see them again. And then it brings you closer to God to pray for those who are suffering and need help. And if you are more fortunate than others that can help those less fortunate that you know, then you lend a helping hand in any way you can to keep people afloat. A final negative theme is worrying over America's future. Some are seeing how horrific the world really is, or the great spiritual chasm present in our society between those who believe and those who don't. One respondent remarked that so many people are caught up in just being in motion and rarely contemplate higher things. Most academics dismiss theology as superstition, confusing all other religions with the true religion. When you're faced with uncertainty of the future, of course, you always look past science and assess your beliefs. And maybe you start to develop a belief in God and start to do more research and look to see if that's the truth. But most places don't teach that and keep it more scientific. These are some topics that Americans are thinking about during the time of crisis, or were thinking during the time of crisis. The results are far from conclusive. Their survey only reflects a tiny sample. However, I suspect that these themes extend to many more religious-minded Americans. We are still at the beginning of the crisis, or we were still at the beginning of this crisis, and thus attitudes can change as things worsen, or have changed as things worsen. They're worsened. The replies challenge us to think beyond the noise that surrounds the coronavirus debate. One particularly touching commentary that appeared in several responses to the survey was the notion that God is in control. Thus, one man wrote, "The bottom line is God is in control. You do whatever it takes to stay in the state of grace. Do your distancing, take care of your duties, and place everything in Our Lady's hands. Don't worry, have confidence knowing God is in control. Ask for help to carry your cross and go ahead." It's about asking God for help, because He is in control and He knows what's going on, and He will save you if you're truly worthy of being saved. And if you're not, He makes you suffer. But even if He makes you suffer, sometimes He will give you what you can handle. If he gives you more suffering, that means you deserve it for actions that you have done in the past that were not good in his eyes. And we all have different strives in life. And it was very sad that this time had to pass, but now we've overcome it, and hopefully we never have to go through anything like this again. But we never know what the future has in store for us. Well, thank you for watching and listening to my video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you and have a great day.